Welcome. It's very interesting to have things go in a way that's unplanned, because this is the way life is. What's that John Lennon verse? Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. So this is meant to be cultivating a warm heart, which is the heart of Buddhist practice, isn't it? Cultivating loving kindness and compassion. So I think we'll start first by just settling into this space, okay? It's very useful when you begin any meditation practice to begin by settling your body and becoming comfortable in your position. I call it feathering the nest. So if we're sitting on a chair, having our feet flat on the floor, or if you're able to sit cross-legged in that chair, the important aspect is to have the back straight so the energy can flow nicely through with your sternum lifted and your chest ever so slightly open and your shoulders relaxed. This is the most important aspect of our posture. And then settle into the sensations in the body. And creating a sense of relaxation by bringing your awareness to the crown of your head. And then ever so slowly beginning to descend down through the center of your body with a sense of warm light that allows the brow to soften and around your eyes. Come down to your jaw, your tongue resting very gently on your upper palate. All your facial muscles succumbing to gravity. See how that feels. It's important to attend to the sensations within the body, regardless of the object of meditation. And then floating down into your neck and across your shoulders, down your arms, all the way to the tips of your fingers. Allow your hands to rest gently in your lap. Then return the nape of the neck and begin to float down through your torso. Your shoulder blades. Let your chest be open. Down to the small of your back. Let your belly be soft to receive the full breath. Down to the small of your back, all the way to your sit bones. Let your glutes be soft. Down your legs, past your knees, all the way to the soles of your feet and the tips of your toes. Let your awareness totally fill the body like a fragrance fills the room with this warm, loving, peaceful ease. Feel the places where your body touches the seat, connecting to the earth energy, stable, grounded, safe. And then allow your awareness to begin to rise up through the body. And come to rest at the level of your heart. And there, let it manifest as this small sphere of warm light. Right there at your heart. And its nature is love. Love is wishing the beloved to have happiness and all of its causes. How wonderful. And as you inhale, allow that energy to be energized. And as you exhale, experience it expanding. Till it fills your whole body with a sense of being loved. Think, I am loved. And it's my nature to love. And as this light continues to expand, it becomes uncontainable. And it begins to pass through your pores in all directions. It creates an aura of love around you. And think, yes, it is my nature to love. Wishing to extend that love to every living being. A wish for each and every one to be happy, to have all the causes of happiness, and not even the slightest suffering. So think that this loving light fills the whole room and touches everyone in it with a wish for their happiness. And it continues to expand out beyond the walls in all directions. Let it go out. Circle the globe. Imagine a world filled with loving joy, where everyone you meet inspires you with their generosity and their love. What a wonderful goal to live in such a world. And where we don't find it, to help create it. May that be our motivating force for our practice throughout the day today. To cultivate this loving, kind, warm heart, so filled with happiness and this wish for all beings to be happy and completely free from suffering. Let that be our motivation. Not just for our own happiness, but the happiness for all beings without exception. Those we love, those whose mere name gives us a headache, and those we have yet to meet. For we all long for the same thing. We all want to be happy. Okay. And with that motivation, let's turn to the 3 jewels and engage in this practice. Before we actually begin, we often recite the refuge prayer 3 times. And I think it was maybe in the 80s when I was reading a text where it was advised that when we recite the refuge prayer 3 times, that we remember the 3 levels of refuge. And then Lama Yeshe also mentioned the way to think about the 3 levels of refuge when we recite the refuge prayer 3 times. So I have built it into this refuge prayer. You were probably familiar with reciting the first verse 3 times. So I have included the second and third verses to include these 3 methods, these 3 ways to think. Okay? So let's start with refuge and bodhicitta. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. By my virtuous actions of giving and so on, may I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment, to the mind of enlightenment, to seeing emptiness directly, and to the Arya beings who have. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment, with confidence in the knowledge that the nature of my own mind is wisdom. Its expression is clarity, and its compassion is all pervasive. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. So feel that in your heart. And imagine that as a result of this, that your teacher appears here in the space, surrounded by holy ones, as Shakyamuni Buddha. And we recite the four immeasurables. Immeasurable because they can be cultivated immeasurably on immeasurable sentient beings. May all beings abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings find good rebirths and the bliss of liberation. I will help us to have these. Please, Guru Buddha, bless me to be able to do this. And then we make this request. Oh, magnificent and precious root Guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat above my head. Guide me with your great kindness and grant me realizations of your holy body, speech, and mind. So now you imagine for a moment that your Guru Buddha smiles lovingly at you. His body is made of light, and he comes to the crown of your head, facing the same way as you. Try to have a sense of this loving, warm, kind, wise, joyful being resting in space above your crown. And as we make this request for blessings, reciting each verse at the end with Om Ahum, imagining that the blessings flow from Guru Buddha's heart right down through our crown, coming to our heart. And we receive that blessing in our mind. Okay? May I be inspired by Guru devotion. Om Ma. Uplifted by the preciousness of this human life. Om Ma. May I shed the fetters of attachment and aversion through a knowledge of impermanence. Om Ma. May I be protected by refuge. Om Ma. May I be guided by a knowledge of actions and their results. Om Ma. May I aim for liberation through renunciation. Om Ma. May I be motivated by bodhicitta. Om Ma. May I be opened by giving. Om Ma. May I be disciplined by ethical behavior. Om Ma. May I be strengthened by patience. Om Ma. May I be enthused by joyous effort. Om Ma. May I be stabilized by concentration. Om. And may I be freed by wisdom. Om. So as we recite Shakyamuni Buddha's mantra, then think that our Lama, our heart teacher, their holy body made of light, on the lotus and moon above our crown, sends down a beautiful rain of blessings. And this exercises the energy within the center of our body and helps us to concentrate, bringing our awareness inside as we experience the blessings coming in. Literally, the mantra means Om, wise one, great wise one, to the wise one of the Shakyans, I hail. Lama Zopa Rinpoche taught that if we think of this mantra as Tayata, it is like this. Om, all knowledge of Buddha's body, speech, and mind. Muni, control over the suffering of the three lower realms and wrong conceptions of the self-existent I. The second Muni, control over the suffering of all samsara and over the self-cherishing thought. Then Mahamunai, great control over the suffering of the subtle illusion and the dualistic mind. Soha, may my mind receive, absorb, and keep the blessings of the mantra, and may they take root. So as we recite this mantra, we can imagine that the mantra abides in the heart of Shakyamuni Buddha on a moon cushion. In the center of the letter Hum, and around that Hum, the mantra. And we can imagine that from that mantra, as we're reciting from that mantra and syllable Hum, all these blessings are coming. By virtue of us reciting this mantra, it energizes the energy within the heart of the Buddha. And those blessings flow down. So we'll recite, I think maybe 21 times, okay? The first 7, yes, I think all 21 will chant. Hayata Om Muni Muni Maha Munai Soha. Hayata Om Muni Muni Maha Munai Soha. Tayata 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 Om Muni Muni Maha Munai Soha. Hayata Om Muni Muni Maha Munai Soha. Hayata Om Muni Muni Maha Munai Soha. Hayata Om Mahamunai Soha Hayata Om Muni Muni Mahamunai Soha Hayata Om Muni Muni Mahamunai Soha Hayata Om Muni Muni Mahamunai Soha Hayata Om Muni Mahamunai Soha Hayata Om Muni 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 Muni Mahamunai Soha. Attend to the sensations in the body, being filled up with the blessings from the Lama. And then we make this request. Oh, magnificent and precious Root Guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat at my heart. Guide me with your great kindness and stay with me always until I attain enlightenment. And now imagine that your Lama, Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, smiles lovingly at you like a father for his only child, and remembering their kindness in offering this path to you. For without your teacher, you wouldn't know. So now, Guru Shakyamuni Buddha melts into a sphere of light, getting smaller and smaller until it's the size of maybe a quarter, and it's resting above your head. And it is a blissful, nectar-filled light that now comes down, entering your crown. As it begins to slowly flow down, it fills your body with this nectar. And you feel that every mistake you ever made is eliminated by the light of your Lama's love, coming down through your throat. And as it reaches your heart, it merges with your own mind. And your body, speech, and mind have received the blessings of your Lama, Shakyamuni Buddha. And all that light and nectar fills your body. Allow a sense of warmth and happiness and joy that you wish to share. And with that kind of energy, let it expand out. Your awareness, your loving awareness, expanding out, filling the room, in all directions, going out, covering the world, as imagining out into the universe, this light, your awareness, until it fills the infinitude of space. And then gradually, like breath on a mirror, it begins to contract back. And as it does so, all conceptual reality is dissolving, becoming like a clear mirror. And it gets smaller, becomes the size of the room again, and the size of your body. Also dissolving into this small sphere at the center of your heart center. And as you penetrate that with your mind, it also gets smaller and becomes imperceivable. And you rest in this clear, empty, spacious mind. And let whatever appears to the mind arise, abide, and dissolve while you attend to the space within which it appears. Mind like the sky. Thoughts, feelings, emotions dissolve like clouds in the sunlight, the sun of your awareness. And then, within awareness, realizing mind's true nature, from mere thought, come back into your body and wherever you are in the room, and feeling your hands and your feet. And when you're ready, open your eyes. So before I continue, Venerable, when is the end of the morning session? Around noon. Okay. All right. So I think maybe it's important to have some conversation about what your experience is when you do this meditation. Does anyone want to share? Don't be shy. We're all friends. Nothing to hide. And if anyone in Zoom land, let's see. Anyone there want to put something in the chat? That's okay too. Please, Mark. Great difficulty. You have great difficulty. What happens? Thoughts, feelings, emotions, images. Right. There's some space. So they say, mind the gap. Maybe thinking within thought arises. And unless you actually grab it and begin to make a story around it, something else will take its place. It will fizzle and something else will come. And the more we are able to, I think this is a good term, mind the gap. When I was in London some years ago, in the underground, there's a gap between the train and the where you stand. And there's signs everywhere that say, mind the gap. I thought, isn't that brilliant? Meditation instructions in the is broken. Oh, so I'll repeat questions. So or comments. You know, the comment is that when we sit and we try to rest in nature of mind or this open, spacious moment, and we try to stay, it's very difficult because so much comes, you know, it's like a train wreck, you know, sometimes coming, 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 coming. But the more we are able to stabilize by simply letting it go, it's not trying to stop thoughts. Milarepa said, you can't stop thoughts, even if you try to put them in an iron box and lock the key. They come. The point is to not see them as something that is useful and something to follow, something to build on. It's like an unwanted guest who comes to the party. If you don't serve them tea, they don't stay very long. So what happens for me is when I have a very busy day, you know, lots going on, or I'm nervous because of something that I have to do or something's going on, lots in my world, then more thoughts want to intrude. But if I have a more peaceful day, a more peaceful time, then slowly, slowly, you know, like a sand in an hourglass, the mind begins to settle, or a snow globe. I think that's a really good example of the mind settling in meditation. You know, you shake it up and then you settle it. It settles on its own. You know, don't have to do anything, and the snow settles. But then a thought comes, and if we grab it, if we grab that thought, and it takes us into our grocery list and what we have to buy to prepare dinner that evening, then as soon as we recognize that that's where we are, that we've left the object, then we come back. We say, oh, okay, girlfriend. The object is awareness of the mind, or of the breath, or of the body, or of an image. But there's an object when we meditate. So as soon as we recognize that we have been kidnapped, we come back. And this is like training a puppy. If you've ever trained a dog, you think that they will never stay. You tell them to sit and stay, and they might sit and they might stay, but as soon as you turn your back, or even you back up, and they want to follow you. So, but each time you take them back to the place of sitting. And each time you give them a reward. You see, we must not treat ourselves poorly when we find ourselves out there running around in the universe of thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and not beat ourselves up and say, that's attachment in itself, another aspect of attachment. We just relax some more, and release the thought, paying particular attention to the out breath. We come back. If we're using nature of mind as our object, coming back and resting in nature of mind, having thought to dissolve everything, and then too much is going on. Too many dancers across the stage. Then when you come back, come to the breath. It might be a better anchor to just sit, take the breath, and watching the full breath. So we recognize the in-breath, and then it turns, and it's a full out-breath. And at the bottom of the out-breath, there's a pause. So if you think there it is, then you might look for it. You might just be aware of when it turns. And then the breath comes in on its own, no force, no impedance. We just allow the body to breathe. And particularly letting the belly be soft. We have this attitude, oh, dummy. Got it. Relax, full relaxation. And often, many of us, if you notice when you're breathing, you're stopping, you're breathing. It's very shallow. We breathe up here. But when you belly breathe, then you start by filling it at the bottom. So you breathe in and the belly expands, and you breathe out and it contracts, but without any, no pressure, no concentrating on moving the belly. It's just allowing the body to breathe, allowing the body to breathe. And sometimes it's helpful to count a full cycle. And also very helpful to make a strong determination. Now I'm going to attend to the sensation of my breath in the body. And then we allow ourselves to go to that, to watch that. And I'm going to do it for X number of minutes. And if you set a timer, that's very useful. You say, I'm going to sit and watch my breath for 10 minutes. Strong determination, Lama Yeshe used to say, strong determination. vigilance, relaxed. I remember Alan Wallace used to say over and over again, you can't stress relaxation too much. We must relax. Because the tighter we are, the more the mind is like this. The more we relax, the more we can settle into openness. Relaxed, open, soft, loving. Then there's a sensation that we want to be there. It becomes an enjoyable experience instead of something we gotta do. Gotta go do my meditation. And that is counterproductive to being able to develop our concentration because it creates too much agitation. And on the other hand, the idea of being too loose. So you kind of settle into that nice, comfy, cozy place until you're at that state where you've lost your vigilance. You're pretty much on the verge of nodding off. So as soon as we see ourselves losing that edge of that sharpness, that vitality, that vividness, then straighten, take an in-breath, bring energy, and begin again. But never let yourself fall into coziness. It's tempting, but it's a trap. And the point of meditation is not to just settle in to be cozy and stress-free. It's to really determine what is the nature of my mind. What is the cause of my happiness? What is the cause of my suffering? So meditation is a tool because happiness and suffering are in the mind. In the mind. There was a great yogi, Saraha, who said, I bow down to that which grants me every goal I desire. I bow down to the mind, for it is mind and mind alone that is the seed of everything. Think about that. And then, well, perhaps it's good. Now we just try. 10 minutes. How about it? We just we go through stages. So we'll start with the breath in the body for this meditation. Okay? I have a little timer here, maybe. No. Does the Gompa have a timer? Yes. Okay, well, at home, I do have a timer on my phone, but must be in the... Excellent. Because nobody should be watching the clock. 10 minutes. Excellent. What's your name? Zoe. Thank you, Zoe. Okay. So let me just say a word before we push go. Every time we sit, remember our intention. Because our intention is huge. Our intention is to wake up to the true nature of reality for the welfare of not just ourselves, but for every living being, to be of value to all beings. Because if we could subdue our own mind, we can help others subdue theirs. So think about my motivation before I sit and make a strong determination. I know what my object is going to be. In this case, I'm going to spend 10 minutes. I'm going to spend 10 minutes attending to the sensation of the breath as the body breathes. Okay? So I'll give you a little guidance to get you into that state, and then we will sit in silence so you can push go, Zoe. Thank you. All right. So, having taken a good seat, sit fully, establishing your meditation posture. My back is straight. My shoulders are loose and relaxed. My hands rest gently in my lap. My eyes are closed or hooded or even open, whatever works best for you. And then I engage in 10 full breaths with inhaling and exhaling as one. And as I do so, I begin to experience the breath in the body. First, I settle into a state of relaxation, scanning down through my body, seeing if there's any tension anywhere, any tightness. And I give the body permission to release, to soften, to let go. I settle my speech in utter silence. Easy for the outer speech, but what about the inner chit chat? It is attending to the breath as if it's the most important thing that allows us to settle the speech. And we settle the mind into this full awareness, vigilant, into momentary present awareness of the sensation of the breath as the body breathes. Useful to count for 10 breaths and then simply, gently let go of the counting. And be glad. Let your heart be glad that you're engaging in this practice. Notice the rising and the falling of the belly as the body breathes without force or impedance. Just the breath. How wonderful. Mhm. Okay, lovely. Thank you. So as we finish a meditation, this particular meditation is useful to do, a breathing meditation, before you start any practice. If you have any practice that we do, to sit quietly and settle the body and mind in its natural state before engaging in any of our practices. So easy to say, oh, yes, I have this to do and that to do, this practice, that practice. Oh, yes. So I better just get right on it and then start doing a sadhana practice straight away or something like that. But it's super important to be developing our concentration, to see what is the state of my mind as I begin to practice. If we're doing a practice like the Guru Shakyamuni Buddha practice that we did, it goes through different, the mind is taking refuge, generating bodhicitta, wishing all beings to be happy, asking for blessings. It was doing many things. So it's like when you're doing a practice that has many parts, you think, well, how could I develop single point in concentration on a practice like that? Especially sometimes practices are very elaborate. Tantric practices are very elaborate. So Ken Rinpoche, Losang Tarchen, asked Trijang Rinpoche, who was the tutor to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, that very question. How does one develop concentration on a practice like that? On a practice where the mind is moving throughout the practice, doing different things, energy going out and energy coming back. And he said, a sadhana is a daily practice. He said, the sadhana is one object. In other words, don't lose your concentration as you are going through the process of this, whatever practice it is that you do. And when we are moving the mind out, like we did, sending the mind out into space and bringing it back, to be able to stay concentrated on that. There's movement, but there's harmony with stillness. The mind remains right there on that, where awareness is going right out to fill all of space. But we're never leaving the object of meditation. It's not like we're looking out and thinking, oh yeah, there's Saturn and Pluto and those other ones. Or then we think, oh yeah, the astronauts, and oh yeah, Star Wars. The mind can go in many different directions when we give it a little thought, a little direction. We say, oh yeah, out into space. But the reason why this is so useful to use as a tool to expand the mind is because awareness is everywhere. It has no periphery and it has no center. So being able to take awareness out and bring it back, we're exercising our understanding of the nature of mind. And when we bring it right back in and dissolve it completely, awareness is still there. Some people say, oh, I don't want to dissolve my body, because then what? Well, actually, body is still here, but the body is not as solid as we feel that the body is, right? It's atoms, and there's space between them. Maybe we'll do a meditation that has to do with that. So meditation itself is not It's not a goal in and of itself. The point of meditation is to gain knowledge that will reliably produce happiness and eliminate suffering. So the point is that we must be present. We must remain present. What's happening? What's happening? If we're present, we can see. We can see when afflicted emotions arise, and we can make a choice to follow or to do something different that might bring a more beneficial result. Yeah? Does that make sense? What do you think? And how was that meditation on the breath? 10 minutes. Was it long? No. Mark.
I do better. I seem to be distracted by the idea of breath.
Uh-huh. Yes.
If it's not breath, then it's easier.
Fine. You pretend it's not breath, and then it's easier. Sure. You place the mind in the center of your awareness, wherever that is. It doesn't have to be on the breath. It's on a single pointed object. I understand the breath can be a distraction.
That it is breath. That seems to lead to
that the mind is the breath. Well, the body's breathing. The mind is just aware of the breathing. The mind is not the breath. It's not following the breath. The mind is stable, still, and the breath is moving. You're aware of the breath. It's like the stage is solid and not moving, but the actors are marching across. But awareness, we're trying to fine tune our awareness and bring it to a single point so that we can place the mind on any object and have it remain there for as long as we want. Can we do that now?
doesn't the object disappear after a while?
Which object?
Whatever.
Possible. Does the object disappear after a while? Sure, can get dissolving into emptiness. Yeah, I think that's could be okay. Could be okay. But awareness remains. Awareness remains, regardless. The awareness is there. It's everywhere, and it's here now.
First, there's the breath.
First, there's the breath. You see the breath.
And then the breath becomes sensation. Like feelings of the belly, except
The feelings of the belly, yes. Moving.
Then the belly goes away, and it's just a feeling. Just a pure sensation. Now,
The sensation within the whole body.
like a cloud of sensation. This is
A cloud of sensations rather than this is my breath. Are the sensations moving around in the body?
I know
It's a cloud. Where is the cloud? It's just a cloud. Where's the cloud?
yes,
It's
but what
it's
I'm really focusing on is just
it's a sensation that's taking the aspect of a cloud at the place where your belly rises and falls. There? Yeah?
Well, if I really focus on the sensation, it's no belly.
You focus on the sensation, there's no belly. Yes. Yes, that's right. That's right. It's to explore, it's to explore. The point is to be able to bring the mind to a state of concentration and let it remain there. And in fact, what you say is ultimately true, but it's not. Yes, ultimately, there's no belly and there's no cloud of sensations. But what we're trying to do is to create something, to create an object, which we have. We have many objects. What happens when you simply rest in nature of mind? In other words, objectless. Mind awareness is the object. Have you engaged with that kind of a meditation before?
No, in the sense that if I just rest, there's a series of objects arising.
Mm-hmm. Yes, objects arise within the mind. That's right.
They don't stop.
Mm-hmm. They don't stop. They keep moving. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Yes. It's the mind's job to think. And it's our job to see what it's thinking. What is arising, Zoe?
Yeah. There's the container of my mind that I can watch objects, and I watch sensations, and then my mind is trained for
Okay, so in your meditation, your mind is aware of objects arising, and it's been trained to look for things that are wrong.
like that's the container of my mind. It's not, that's just this training, like a dog, like you were saying. I'm looking for, like, I'm a narc dog, right? I'm like searching out for the problem.
Searching for the problems. Mhm.
I'm looking, and that's the scan, right? It's just the training of the mind. It's interesting to be sitting with sensation or with thought, or I'm looking for the problems.
You're looking for the problems, yes. So are the problems in the body or are they in the mind? Both. So is the problem sensation in the body?
It's just, I think, uh, it's very fine too. So I'm looking for the pieces that are non-harmonious, right? But because I'm looking for the things that are non-harmonious, everything becomes that, because that's what I'm focused on. So it was really interesting to see that training of the mind can be to have compassion for everything that arises.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yes, that's brilliant, really. That's a brilliant insight. So, yes, that's brilliant, you see, because negative thoughts are the ones that you're gravitating toward while you were meditating, but you realize the insight that you realized was habit. That was habit. You've trained your mind to look for the negative, and it's habit, familiarization. But you realize that the mind could be trained to look for the positive, to see the positive. So that's a really good insight, That's a really good insight.
It's just the nature of right? Like the walls of the mind can be gray or they can be peach, And so It's just like repainting the walls of the container, but everything then comes into, is it prison or nurse? Yeah.
I love that. The container of the mind. Is it a prison, or is it a nursery? Yes, yes. This is the point, you see. This is the point, to be able to see what is rising in my mind and not to make anything of it in the moment. You see, just to be aware, because you're not looking for anything. You just see what is. Buddha said, in the seen, let there just be the seen. In the heard, let there just be the heard. In the tactily sensed, let there just be the tactily sensed. And in the mind, the thoughts, let there just be the thought. And then he said, in this way, when you see what you see, you just see. What you hear, you just hear. What you feel, you just feel. And what you think, you just think. Then you see that there's no I in here. There's no I out there. And there's no I anywhere in between. What we do is we make something of what we see, what we hear, what we think, what we feel. And we grab it as real. So if you are able, in the process of seeing, and seeing then, so this came, this, I see this, but I don't label it. It's just, I see it. And I leave it. And you can even watch it without thinking about it. Do you know what I mean? Yes, watch it without thinking about it. And see what happens to it. You know, you just right in. I think Mingyur Rinpoche mentioned that he had terrible anxiety as a child, debilitating anxiety, even up through young adulthood. And his father was a great master. And he asked his father, told his father, what should I do? You know, he tried to work with it in many different ways to get rid of it. He wanted to get rid of it. It was very difficult. He had terrible anxiety. And his father said, make friends with it. Just look right into it. And he, you know, in a short period of time, he stopped having anxiety. I think that's quite interesting. When we tend to want to distract from unpleasant thoughts or feelings or emotions. Yes, you know, oh, I'll think about something else. We distract ourselves when unpleasant circumstances arise, rather than checking. You know, is it inherently unpleasant? You know, is it inherently a negative, or am I labeling it negative? Is it just a reminder? Could it be positive because it's reminding me? Oh, look at that. Yeah. Anyone else have something to share? Oh, Barbara.
Very aware of sound.
You were aware of sound. Aware of traffic. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't disturbing at all. That's right. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Then you heard a sound in the gompa and you wondered.
Then I think it's stop.
Aha, you became curious of what it was, and then it stopped, and you were disappointed because you couldn't discover what it was. Yes. You can see how that works. You can see how that works. It's very brilliant to be able to get that insight, you know, how it is. To what do we attach? We can look at that. Could be. Yes, we don't know what it is we want to know. But something with which we're familiar the birds chirping, the dog barking, the cars flowing. We can leave it. But if there's an unfamiliar sound, that's a good insight. An unfamiliar sound, we need to. That's really not unusual in the uh, neurosciences when they talk about fight or flight. Um, Dr. Rick Hansen said, we want to eat lunch, not be it. So we have a negativity bias. We're looking for harm. We are looking. We're making sure that there's no, you hear a loud bang, automatically the mind goes there to try to determine what is that? Is there harm? Do I need to be fearful? He said in the, 300,000 years ago when the first Homo sapiens came, maybe there was a reason because you really had to worry about being eaten. But probably in today's society, well, maybe I shouldn't go quite that far. Maybe there are some harms. But for the most part, we have a relatively safe existence. But we're hardwired for that. The term is we have a negativity bias. And if you look at, I was a business owner for many years, and the word on the street was that if you got a negative review, it took 10 positive ones to overcome it. And if you're buying something on the internet and you see you want to get the very best one, and you don't want to get one that's been badly reviewed, and you read a review about it. Are you influenced by that bad review? Yeah. Even though you don't know who reviewed it, you don't know how they treated it before they used it, you don't know anything about it, but we're influenced by negativity, and we have to understand that and see, is it true? Is it not true? Ultimately, it's not true. None of it. But conventionally, yes, there is that. And there is the need to check up when there are sounds. You might hear a cry, someone crying, a baby crying outside. And you think, well, that child will be cared for. You don't even think, the baby's crying. You don't think. But in the next room, when your baby's crying, you're up. So it is really true to think about what captures the mind and what's appropriate to be captured. And how do we think about it? How do we feel about it? Venerable Rene tells a story about going, maybe it was in Spain. He went to a retreat center, and turns out, and he was going to do a 3-month retreat. And it turns out there was a lot of construction. Now, I had the same experience in going on a holiday in Hawaii. And the hotel next door was being remodeled. And early in the morning, bang, 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 we have this anticipation of how things will be. So whether or not we're able to maintain a state of equanimity throughout it, how do we work with the mind? This is what we're intending to do, to learn what is the nature of my mind and how can I bring it to a state of peace or maintain a state of peace in the midst of chaos. How can I do that? How do we do that? Anybody have an answer? Please. You have an active mind, yes. I'm repeating because, yes, you have an active mind. Yes. The way to subdue is to just soften. Yes? And how do you do that?
Focusing on stillness.
Focusing on the stillness between breaths, minding the gap, eh? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tenderness. Yes, tenderness and compassion. Yes, yes. Many sweet faces. Look at a sweet face. Yes. Feel it. There's the key. Right there. Actually, when you make that decision to soften, then whatever your tool, you feel it. You see what it is. You recognize using that works. It works to do that. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. That's really beautiful. So understanding that and feeling that, you see, knowing that and using that and repeating that and familiarizing in that and habituating in that. Slowly, 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 you automatically go there as soon as, and you can stay longer in that warm feeling without more. So longer and longer. Tilopa said to his heart son Naropa, view the mind as having no thought other than repetition. View the mind as having no thought other than repetition. I think that's interesting. That's to cook. Yeah. So maybe we have 10 minutes and just to get an idea about awareness, there is a very brief meditation that we can do that I find quite useful. I did this when I was in 3-year retreat. Many times I would do it just to be able to expand the mind to fill all of space. So let's try that. And after lunch or during lunch, I want to get a different chair that is flat bottomed because this makes me want to go back. Now, just sit up here. Your seat is important. It truly is. Where you're sitting is important. For years and years, I sat cross-legged. But now the hip is complaining. So I don't sit cross-legged. And that's only recent. So it took me some time to determine how will I sit in a chair and what chair will I use if I'm going to succumb to the idea that it's not beneficial to my body to sit cross-legged because it's so much pain when I get up that I can't walk very well. This is the suffering of aging. Coming soon to a theater near all of you. Years ago, Silgyo Rinpoche came to Vajrapani Institute, and one of the things that he did was to read a poem that he had written. I was in my 30s, and the only line I could remember is that he said life was like a flash of lightning in the sky. And I thought, that's an exaggeration. But now as I'm pushing 80, that's how quick the life goes. So we want to make use of every moment, okay? Every moment. I can say, the life passes as quick as a flash of lightning in the sky. So we make use of it as much as we can. Remembering that. Okay? So let's just take a good seat and think how grateful I am to be able to have an opportunity to look into the nature of this mind, the mind that is the seed of everything, the mind that determines whether I'm caught in cyclic existence or I'm free. So have a sense of gratitude warming your heart. How wonderful. And then take a deep breath and simply let go. into a relaxed and open state. And then bring your awareness to your heart center. Right there in the center of your body, the level of your heart. If it helps to see it as a light, a sphere of light, you can do so. Or you can see it as clear, small. And then allow your awareness to expand out to the left, to turn to the left, and go out. Awareness is not stopped by walls. So simply allow it to go as far to the left as you can. And then gradually just bring it back to the center. And from there, go to the right. And come back to center. And then go out the back. And back to center. And then out in front. And bring it back. And then go down through the floor. The nadir. And come back. And go up. The zenith. And bring it back. And then allow it to go into all four ordinal directions in between the cardinal. And bring it back. And then allow it to go in all directions. Left and right and in between, front and back and above and below, like this giant light. in all directions. Filling all of space. And then bring it back into what would be considered its natural resting place for you. Where does it nicely rest? And open your eyes and look to see the periphery of what you've chosen to be your resting place. And then turn your attention to the space within it. In other words, gazing at the in-between. And yet knowing that awareness has no periphery and it has no center. It pervades all of space. Okay. Good. So, thank you, all of you. Let's just take the energy that we created here today, all this positive energy, wishing to be of benefit and to grow our concentration and our wisdom, and put it in the merit bank, where we'll get the most return on our investment. So, dedicating it to our highest goal, perfect enlightenment, not just for ourselves, but every single being. Okay? Yeah, that's it. Okay. Lunch is from 12 to 1:30. Okay. Thank you. Very good.